Donald Trump's reality show continues with another episode. He delivered the longest speech to Congress ever, full of false claims, threats of global trade war, and calls to take Greenland one way or another. Oh, and then there was that scene straight out of The Lion King. But alright, let's set aside any bias and emotions and let a soulless machine do the dirty work. Today I'm going to feed the entire transcript of Donald Trump's speech into ChatGPT and ask it to break it all down: what was actually true, what was outright false, what promises he made for the future, and whether AI believes any of it or not. And as always, you can do me a quick favor before Trump bans ChatGPT. Hit the like button and subscribe to the channel right now or anytime that you're watching, because it helps YouTube to push this video to more people, allows me to keep these conversations with AI going, and maybe even makes Nancy Pelosi a little bit more cheerful, though I'm not so sure about the last one. Thank you so much, and now let's get on to the chat. And here we are. I'm not sure we need to gather all the information today, but let's ask anyway, and then I'll feed it the full transcript. Alright, I'm uploading the file and telling ChatGPT to be clear, straightforward, completely unbiased, call things as they are with no sugarcoating or fluff and all of that stuff. And first, let's get a quick overview of the speech and see what ChatGPT has to say about it, and here's the first answer. Trump's speech was aggressive, full of grand claims and heavy on self-praise. He painted a picture of total success, record-low border crossings, an economic boom, and a cultural shift back to common sense. In reality, a lot of what he said was exaggerated or simply false. He thrives on making everything seem like a crisis only he can fix, whether it's immigration, crime, or the economy. His immigration policies were the hardest stance yet. Mass deportations, military at the border, and the claim that Mexico is surrendering cartel leaders because of his tariffs. He doubled down on the culture war, banning gender ideology, cutting off diversity programs, and officially declaring only 2 genders exist. That wasn't just policy, it was a declaration that his administration will be actively reshaping social norms. Economically, his vision is built on tariffs, tax cuts, and a nationalist push to bring back manufacturing. Some of it could work in the short term, but long term, these kinds of aggressive trade policies usually lead to retaliation. His $5 million gold card citizenship plan was also strange. He spent years railing against immigration. Now he's selling it to the highest bidder. On foreign policy, he made it clear he's shifting away from Ukraine, citing a letter from Zelensky that may or may not mean much. His claim that the US is taking back the Panama Canal is either pure posturing or a serious diplomatic crisis waiting to happen. Then there was the bizarre part about Greenland. He straight up said America is going to get it one way or another. That's not how diplomacy works. In the end, this was Trump at full force, rallying his base, declaring victories whether they're real or not, and laying the groundwork for a presidency driven by nationalism, culture war battles, and hardline economic immigration policies. It was bold, chaotic, and at times completely detached from reality. If this is how he's starting, the next few years are going to be just as unpredictable and aggressive as his first month, maybe even more. Maybe even more? Oh, please no. It already feels like it's been a year, doesn't it? Well, alright, now let's move on to the false claims that he made. Actually, I'm not going to ask specifically for any false claims to keep it unbiased, so we'll just have it go through his statements and decide whether they're true or not. And here it is. Trump's speech was a mix of accurate claims, exaggerations, and outright falsehoods. He painted his presidency as an overwhelming success, but many of his statements don't hold up under scrutiny. Here's a breakdown. 1. Border crossings are at the lowest ever recorded. True. Trump claimed that illegal border crossings were at the lowest levels ever recorded. Recent reports confirm that crossings dropped significantly in February of 2025 due to new enforcement policies. Official data supports this decline, showing a sharp reduction compared to previous months. 2. The Paris Climate Accord was costing the US trillions of dollars. False. Trump claimed that rejoining the Paris Agreement cost the US trillions. However, the agreement is voluntary and does not impose mandatory financial obligations of that scale. This claim is an exaggeration meant to frame climate policies as an economic burden. 3. Biden caused the worst inflation in 48 years. Partly true, but oversimplified. Inflation did hit a 40-year high under Biden, peaking in 2022. However, attributing it solely to Biden ignores global supply chain issues, the pandemic's economic effects, and Federal Reserve policies. Inflation has since declined, which Trump left out. 4. Egg prices are Biden's fault. Misleading. Trump blamed Biden for skyrocketing egg prices. While inflation affected food prices, the main cause of the egg price surge was the avian flu, which led to a massive drop in egg-laying hens. Other factors include supply chain disruptions and corporate pricing strategies. 5. The government has been paying Social Security to people 300 plus years old. False. Trump claimed that millions of people over the age of 100 and even a 360-year-old person are receiving Social Security. There have been cases of fraud and database errors listing incorrect ages, but no actual payments to 300-year-olds exist. 6. Mexico handed over 29 cartel leaders because of my tariffs. True. Mexico did extradite 29 cartel leaders to the U.S., including Rafael Caro Quintero. While Trump linked this to his tariffs, there is no official confirmation that the tariffs directly caused it. The timing suggests his pressure may have played a role. 7. Tariffs will bring in trillions and make America rich again. Misleading. Tariffs can generate revenue, but they don't automatically make America rich. Tariffs are a tax on imports, which means American businesses and consumers ultimately pay higher prices. While tariffs may boost certain industries, Trump oversimplified their effects. 8. The U.S. has spent hundreds of billions on Ukraine. False. Since 2022, the U.S. has allocated about $106 billion in aid to Ukraine. Even including related spending, the total is around $175 billion, far from hundreds of billions. Trump inflated the figure to make it sound excessive. 9. Europe spent more on Russian oil and gas than on Ukraine aid. True, some European nations continued buying Russian energy after the war began, and their total spending on Russian fuel at times exceeded their direct aid to Ukraine. While Europe has provided significant support to Ukraine, its reliance on Russian energy remained a major factor. 10. 25 million illegals came in under Biden. False. Trump claimed that 25 million undocumented immigrants entered the U.S. under Biden. The actual estimate is significantly lower, with credible reports suggesting around 5 to 7 million crossings since 2021. This claim is vastly exaggerated. The bottom line? Trump mixed real policies with false claims, exaggerations, and misleading statements. Some of what he said was true, like border crossings dropping and Europe's fuel spending, but other claims like U.S. spending on Ukraine and Social Security fraud were outright false. His speech was bold, confident, and politically effective, but when you break it down, not everything holds up under scrutiny. Well, alright. Maybe I'm biased, but I do have to admit that I'm actually surprised that some of them turned out to be true. Now I'm going to ask what promises Trump made for the future and whether ChatGPT believes them or not. We're about to get into that in just a moment, but first here's a quick reminder that if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and do that now. It only takes a second, but it makes a big difference for the channel. And if you're enjoying this video so far, be sure to hit that like button and share it with your friends. Oh, and by the way, here's a full playlist where ChatGPT breaks down Trump's policies. You'll find videos on his tariffs, his mass deportation plan, predictions about his first 100 days, which of them actually came true, and so much more. I'll drop a link in the description, so be sure to check that out when we're finished here. So now, let's get back to the chat. I'm going to ask, what promises did Trump make, and does ChatGPT believe them? And here's the answer. Trump made a lot of promises in his speech, some realistic and others just political talk. He said he would secure the border and deport millions of undocumented immigrants. While he can ramp up enforcement, mass deportations at that scale are almost impossible. ICE doesn't have the resources, and legal challenges would stall it. He might succeed in tightening policies, but millions being removed isn't likely. He promised to impose reciprocal tariffs on any country that imposes tariffs on the US. While this sounds like a tough stance, it could easily escalate into a global trade war. Many countries already have higher tariffs on US goods, and if the US matches them, they will likely retaliate. Tariffs can generate revenue, but they also increase costs for businesses and consumers. Some industries might benefit, but claiming this will make America rich ignores the broader economic impact. Regarding the Panama Canal, he framed it as something the US should reclaim, but the reality is different. Under pressure from Trump, the US is already gaining more control over critical infrastructure near the canal, but it is not taking it back. Reclaiming the entire canal would require diplomatic agreements or military intervention, which isn't happening. He also suggested that Greenland should become part of the United States, saying that the US needs it for national and international security. While he framed it as a serious goal, actually acquiring Greenland would be nearly impossible. Denmark has repeatedly rejected the idea, and Greenland itself has no interest in being part of the US. This is more of a rhetorical statement than a realistic plan. The Mars Promise was another big one. NASA is working toward Mars missions, but the timeline makes Trump's claim unrealistic. The Artemis program is still focusing on the moon, and human Mars landings aren't expected before 2040. Unless he forces a huge shift in funding, this is just talk. He also promised to revive US military production and shipbuilding. This one is more achievable as military spending is already increasing. Some shipbuilding could be brought back, but rebuilding the industry completely would take years and depend on Congress approving the funds. He claimed to have made English the official language of the US, and he did sign an executive order on it. However, this does not make it legally binding across all states or override existing laws that require language access in certain services. To make English the official language at a constitutional level, an amendment would be needed, and that's not going to happen. The executive order mainly applies to federal agencies and is more of a political statement than a major legal change. Another big claim was that he would bring peace between Russia and Ukraine. He said Zelensky sent him a letter agreeing to talks and that Russia is ready to negotiate. The problem is, if peace means Ukraine giving up land, it would be seen as a win for Russia and could destabilize NATO. A ceasefire might be possible, but a lasting peace deal is far from guaranteed. A lot of what he said sounds good to his base, but some of these promises aren't realistic. He thrives on making big, bold claims, but history shows that many won't happen the way he says. Some policies will be pushed, others will hit roadblocks, and a few will be abandoned once reality sets in. Expect a lot of headlines, but not everything he promised will actually happen. And there you have it. But tell me in the comments below how you would describe that Congress speech. Do you agree with ChatGPT, or do you think it's got something wrong? Let me know your thoughts, and also don't forget to leave a like, subscribe if you haven't, and check out the description to become a member and support the channel directly. After that, you should click on this video, where ChatGPT broke down Donald Trump and Volodymyr Zelensky's meeting, and even predicted something that's already happening. Thanks for watching, click on this video, and I'll be waiting for you there.